Is your workplace really healthy or just really good at acting normal? Let's dig into that. Hey everyone, Brooke Hughes here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about one of my favorite workplace psychology topics, not because it's fun when it happens, quite the opposite, but because once you see it, you can't unsee it. We're talking about covert aggression at work. And here's the tricky thing. Most of us were taught to recognize aggression when it shows up loudly. Someone yells or insults you, someone humiliates you in a meeting, someone threatens you or openly excludes you. Someone is so obviously inappropriate that everyone in the room knows exactly what just happened. That kind of behavior matters and should be taken seriously. But workplace harm doesn't always come with a flashing neon sign that says, "Hello, I'm aggression." Sometimes it shows up wearing a cardigan, carrying a calendar invite, and saying, "Just circling back." Sometimes aggression at work looks very professional on the outside, like a meeting you used to be invited to that suddenly happens without you, or an idea you shared 3 weeks ago magically reappearing as someone else's brilliant strategy. It looks like feedback that sounds serious but is so vague you need a decoder ring to understand what you are actually supposed to fix. It looks like people having hushed conversations about you instead of direct conversations with you. And here's where it gets interesting. One moment by itself can usually be explained away. Someone was busy. The meeting was small. The timeline changed. The leader was under pressure. The email chain was accidental. The feedback was meant to help. And maybe that's true. But when those moments keep happening, we're no longer looking at one awkward workplace moment, we're looking at a pattern. And patterns are where we should start paying very close attention, because covert aggression doesn't usually begin with certainty. It begins with confusion. It doesn't always begin with one big dramatic incident. It begins with a shift. You used to have information and now you don't. You used to have influence and now you're being worked around. You used to feel confident and now you're second guessing every email, every meeting, every pause, every facial expression. That's not random, that's data. Covert aggression is harm delivered indirectly. It operates through behaviors, omissions, social signals, shifting expectations, selective communication, and quiet narrative shaping. It can show up as exclusion from information or credibility erosion. It can be vague criticism or innocent support. Maybe it's professional language that was used to cover personal threat, or silence that allows assumptions to become accepted as truth. And that's why this kind of workplace harm is so hard to explain. As a general rule, organizations are usually much better at responding to events than patterns. They know how to investigate a complaint or review an email. They know how to document a date, a comment, a policy violation, or one specific incident. But covert aggression rarely walks into HR with a neat little folder and says, "Here I am." It accumulates. It repeats. It creates conditions, and conditions are much harder to prove than incidents. But ongoing ambiguity about your performance, your tone, your readiness, your credibility, or your fit, that can slowly destabilize someone who was completely capable before the pattern began. And that's the difference between discomfort and destabilization. Healthy workplaces have friction. People disagree. Good leaders give hard feedback. Expectations change. Conflict happens. Conflict by itself is not aggression. But when ambiguity repeatedly disadvantages the same person, when confusion becomes the tool, when someone's credibility weakens without clarity, when people begin responding to a narrative that no one has actually examined, and when the target absorbs the cost while the system gets to preserve deniability, that's something different. And that something needs language, because the best question is not always what happened. The better question is what keeps happening and who keeps paying the price. The question changes the whole conversation. It moves from isolated incidents to patterned impact. It shifts the focus away from, was this one moment bad enough? And towards, is this repeated experience changing someone's ability to work, speak, contribute, trust, or stay visible? Because most people who experience covert aggression don't start by saying, "I'm being harmed." They usually say things like, "Something feels off. I can't quite tell where I stand. The rules keep changing. I'm working harder, but I feel less trusted. I sound irrational when I try to explain this," or "I don't feel like myself anymore." These statements are real and they matter. They're not weakness. They're often the first language someone has for a pattern that hasn't fully revealed itself yet. The body usually notices before the brain has words for it. It may start with interrupted sleep. Then you replay meetings. You reread emails and over-prepare for conversations that used to feel normal. You edit yourself in rooms where you used to speak freely. Maybe you feel anxious when a certain name pops up on your phone. You start studying tone, silence, pauses, eye contact, and tiny shifts in behavior like you're running a full organizational crime scene analysis in your head. And no, that doesn't mean you're fragile. It means your nervous system is doing exactly what human nervous systems are built to do: detect changes in safety, belonging, status, and predictability. The most dangerous dysfunction in an organization is often the one no one reports. Not because it's harmless, but because it's subtle enough to deny, ordinary enough to explain away, and cumulative enough to change people before anyone names what's happening. So if you keep asking yourself, is this really happening, or am I overreacting? Pause before you turn the entire question inward. Start looking at the pattern. Are expectations changing without explanation? Is credit moving away from you? Is feedback vague but consistently negative? Are decisions connected to your work happening somewhere else first? Are people reacting to a narrative that no one has clearly said out loud? The goal is not to make every difficult conversation suspicious. Please don't go into work tomorrow diagnosing your entire team. We aren't doing workplace astrology here. The goal is to distinguish between productive discomfort and pattern destabilization. Productive discomfort has clarity. It gives people information they can actually use. It may be uncomfortable, but it helps people grow. Pattern destabilization creates more confusion than clarity. It makes the target responsible for interpreting reality other people refuse to name. And that is why language matters. Because once you can name what's happening, you can stop internalizing what was never yours to carry. If this is something you're trying to make sense of, reach out. Let's look at the pattern together and see what we can do. And if you want to see how your organization ranks on the toxicity scale, click the link in my bio and take the culture quiz. And of course, if this video is helpful to you, hit like and subscribe for more content on leadership, workplace psychology, and building healthier organizations.